Hey, what's up guys? Sir Emanon here and welcome to another video. So as you can see, today's deck profile is going to be extremely interesting. This is going to be the top 8 deck profile of Utopia Onomat that performed really well in last week's 10k giveaway tournament that I hosted. And a lot of people did request to see this one just because we saw it take down Tri-B Lurlusk live on stream in the top 16 feature match. So if you want to see that feature match as well as the full VOD of the top cut, I'll link to that video in the description below as well as in the card in the top right. But yeah, this deck was piloted by fellow Yu-Gi YouTuber Mambo Yu-Gi-Oh, whose channel I will also be linking in the description as well. So definitely check out his channel if you want more resources on this deck. He has a couple of videos where he delves into great detail, kind of explaining the detail or like more minute interactions and how the deck is more meant to function as a whole. And he's obviously much more well versed in this deck than I am. So this is going to be kind of a more general breakdown of how the cards operate. But if you want more resources on this deck, if you want to pick it up maybe for yourself, that is the place to check out. Also, he has a video on his channel, which is a tournament report where he goes over all his replays from this tournament that he did host. So yeah, if you want to see more gameplay, that is also the place to check out. So yeah, big shouts to Mambo, huge congrats. This deck, it's super cool to see rogue decks in action, but much less one that is very unexplored, such as Utopia Onomat. So yeah, if you guys are unfamiliar with this deck, I'm also not even sure if that's the proper name, since there's a couple of different archetypes going on here. But this deck is very combo oriented and it tries to end on a myriad of different boss monsters going first. You can see it's extremely Xyz focused and you're trying to ladder up into things like a Utopia Dragonar to end on powerful boss monsters, things like your Ultimate Wheel Utopia Ray, Hope Harbinger, stuff like that. And you also get a lot of good protection effects along the way from targeting and like various different destruction type effects as well. So it's a very powerful board if it does get to resolve. And it helps also play around cards like Dark Ruler and Droplet too, because there is a searchable Omni counter trap. And then going second, you have cards like Zeus to wipe boards, as well as very cheeky double or nothing OTKs that are reminiscent of Sky Striker back in the day, if you guys recall that. So this deck is super cool to see, and not a lot of people are obviously going to be prepared for these cards. After all, a lot of the cards, or some of the cards, did get new support or were released in the new support in Brothers of Legend. So people aren't going to be knowing what these cards do, myself included. I did have to read the cards for the first time on the stream, and I also had to kind of sit down before recording this video and try and see what the cards actually did. And this is my third attempt recording this video, by the way, because every time I tried to explain these cards, I didn't do it in a very organized way, so hopefully we'll get it right this time. But yeah, again, if I don't do the explanation justice, definitely go and check out Mambo's channel. He does a fantastic job of explaining these cards in greater detail. So let's go ahead and give the overall rundown card by card on what these cards actually are meant to do. So first up are the ZSs. These are both extenders and kind of consistency pieces in the deck and helping it kind of get the ball rolling as far as getting to where you need to be. So ZS Ascended Sage and ZS Arm Sage both have special summoning conditions. Ascended Sage allows you to summon itself from your hand if you control no cards, and then ZS Arm Sage allows you to summon itself if the only other monster you control is a level 4 monster besides another copy of itself. And then both of these also give your Utopia Xyz monsters bonus effects. So they bestow them effects on summon, to where Ascended Sage allows you to add a rank up magic normal spell from deck to hand, and then Arm Sage lets you add a ZW monster from deck to hand. So, obviously if you open these two together, you can clearly see you can make a rank 4 without committing to a normal summon, which is very powerful. And they both get you pluses if you overlay into a Utopia monster. So your search target off your Ascended Sage is the Hyper Rank of Magic Utopia Force, and this allows you to target a rank 9 or lower Utopia Xyz monster you control, and then special summon a rank 10 or higher Utopia or Utopic Xyz monster by using that as material, and it transfers all the materials and is treated as an Xyz summon. Additionally, if an Xyz monster is special summoned by the effect of a rank 10 or higher Utopia or Utopic Xyz monster, while this card is in your graveyard, you can basically attach this card from your graveyard to that special summoned monster as material. So this card is what lets you get into your big boss monster, which is your Utopia Dragonar. So essentially what your combos involve generally are getting 2 level 4 bodies on the board, going into Utopia double. Ideally you would be using one or both of these as materials to get you access to your Utopia Force, of course, or your other search target, which is your ZW Tornado Bringer off the Arm Sage, which I'll get to in a bit. Then you'll be laddering up. You can use the effect to grab a copy of Double or Nothing, stack Utopia on top of it, go into Utopia Prime, which just gets you an extra material to make a 4 material Dragonar off of the, of course, effect of this Utopia Force. And this is a big rank 12 Xyz monster As a quick effect, lets you detach 2 materials to summon any number monster that has a number between 1 and 100 in its name, treat it as an Xyz monster, or an Xyz summon. And then it has some restrictions on it in terms of attacking with attacking directly, but that's fine. And then there's a lot of Xyz locking in this deck, but obviously that clearly does not matter. And also has an effect where if an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can change the attack of that opponent's monster to 0. So this is what allows you to go into any of your number monsters, including ultimately your Utopia Ray, which is always treated as a number C39 monster. And then this also triggers the graveyard effect of the Utopia Force because, as if you recall, it allows you to attach itself to whatever you summon off the effect of a rank 10 or higher Utopia or Utopia Xyz monster, which this just so happens to be. So essentially, what you're trying to do turn 1 is you go ahead and activate this effect to go into your ultimate Leo Utopia Ray. This lets you equip this from your graveyard to the Utopia Ray as material, and then you can detach that to equip a ZW monster from your deck or extra deck to this card as if it were equipped by that monster's effect. And also, this on the field is just a monster effect negation of a monster of an effect monster on the field, and it has its effect or has its attack on the way. So yeah, this card is super solid. It's an interruption and also fetches its own protection. So this is a good segue into the ZW monsters. So these, if you recall, are both searchable by the Armed Sage and are tutorable via the Utopia Ray, or the ultimately Utopia Ray. These names are really long. But yeah, Tornado Bringer is the primary search target off the Armed Sage. This one is a monster that allows you to equip itself to a Utopia monster to give a 1300 attack as well as targeting protection. And it also gives it battle protection as well, just by destroying this card instead. So this card just gives a lot of different protection effects. So you're going to be equipping it to your ultimately your Utopia Ray. So again, this is searchable via the Arm Sage. And then the Pegasus Twin Saber is the other ZW monster here, where this is the one that you want to be fetching from your deck via the Utopia Ray, because this can't actually equip itself, unlike the Tornado Bringer, unless if it's on the field, but that effect is kind of difficult to pull off because like it has a summoning condition that's not really easily achieved turn 1, and then you don't really want to be committing your normal summon to level 5 monster. So yeah, this is the one that like is a brick. You don't want to be searching it with your Arm Sage because again, you can't equip it directly from your hand, either with itself or with the Leo Ray because it can only summon from your deck. So this one is a hard garnet, but this one allows you to go ahead and give that monster 1000 attack, of course, but also it has a very unique negation effect where once per turn while this card is equipped to a monster, you can negate a monster's effect activated on your opponent's field. Now this effect does not activate, which is very fascinating and pretty unique. What comes to mind as kind of a sort of comparison is the Mermaid Abyss scales. So those, like the Mizuchi, as well as the Trap one, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, those ones allow you to negate like spell or trap effects if you have like a Mermaid equipped to them and then like just fall off and detach. But this one actually is not a mandatory effect, unlike those two, to where you can just choose what you want to negate and then you just negate on resolution. It doesn't start a chain. So like their monster effect will activate and then you just give them the okay. But once the chain resolves, when they attempt to activate on resolution, you just go ahead and negate those monsters' effects on the field. It's a very interesting type of negation that's extremely difficult to interact with, unless you have like removal for this card specifically. So it's pretty unique in terms of like how it interacts. So yeah, super cool card. It gives like your Utopia Ray like another layer of just negation, not only with its own effect, but also the Pegasus. So if you get this on board, if you like go through the entire Utopia Dragonar line like I described, you'll get this on the field, and then ideally you'll be able to get the ZW Tornado Bringer via the Armed Sage. You can give it targeting protection, battle protection, as well as the ability to negate essentially 2 monster effects on the field. So like that's kind of one line this deck has. Also, because this thing is a quick effect, the Utopia Dragonar, by the way, you leave it on your field so you can activate the effect to detach another 2 materials on your opponent's turn because you'll generally be making this with 4 when you rank it up with the Utopia Force. And then you can bring out stuff like the Hope Harbinger right here. And he also played the number 92 Heart Earth Dragon, which is kind of like a cool way to deal with backward decks. I think he mentioned that he would swap this out in the future for something like a Photon, Galaxy Photon Lord. The number 95, I want to say. It's the Photon Galaxy card that negates monster effects, so it kind of like helps play around like certain hand traps like Nibiru and stuff. But yeah, like this, like the options are really cool. Like you can play with all sorts of different number monsters. Stuff like Baguska also comes to mind, which I think he mentioned he would play over the Utopia Lightning here. This thing clearly is just like an out to stuff like Dragoon or just other problematic boss monsters. So yeah, the other cards to mention with the ZS and the ZWs are the ZS Utopic Sage. This is a generic rank 4. So if you don't open these, this is how you get back into your ZSs. So you can search for like your Utopia Force or your Tornado Bringer. So if you don't open those, you can go into this thing instead, which allows you to detach to special summon a ZW or ZS directly from your deck. So I guess this is how you could technically get into Pegasus Twin Saber and then like you can equip it with its own effects, but you probably don't want to be doing that. Yeah, this thing allows you to just tutor directly from the deck. It has some restrictions involving attacking as well as Xyz locking. And it also has another effect, which is also additional protection, where if a Utopia or Utopic Xyz monster you control, whose original attribute is light, will be destroyed by battle with card effect, except for ZS Utopic Sage, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard instead. So basically like a Balings type effect, which is very, very nice to have. Notably, this card is a Utopic monster, not a Utopia monster. So these don't actually give the Utopic Sage extra effects because they only work on Utopia monsters. It's like a very annoying distinction, that one letter difference. Shouts to Spy Gal Misty. But yeah, I mean, this is like pretty much how you get into these if you're missing them. And you can kind of proceed a combo from there, also just allowing you to get even more protection. So yeah, you can see like this already is off to a pretty good start. Like we have like a wide array of boss monsters, lots of protection effects, and a fair amount of consistency as well if you don't open these directly. The last card in here in this lineup is the Zexal Construction, which allows you to mulligan one card out of your hand to add from your deck to your hand either a ZW, ZS monster, Zexal spell or trap, rank a magic spell, or rank down magic spell. So this can get you to whatever you're missing. So it does minus yourself, which is not the greatest, especially in a deck that uses a lot of its like hand resources turn 1. But it is like an extra way to get into pretty much any of these if you were missing them. All right, now that we have that finished, we're gonna go on to the Onomat cards. So we have 3 copies of Dodo Dwarf Go Glove, 2 copies of Zubaba Bancho Gaga Coat, and then 2 copies of Utopic Onomatopoeia. I'm just gonna call these Glove, Coat, and Onomatopoeia because I can't be bothered to say all these full names the entire time. But yeah, these cards all are essentially, they are starters and they are extenders, and they work very well in tandem with each other. So Glove allows you to, if it's on the field, summon up to 1 Zubaba or Gaga monster from your hand. And if you control a Go or Dodo monster while this card's in your graveyard except itself, you can go ahead and special summon it, but it gets banished when it leaves the field. So you guys might remember this from the Adamantipator days. These were this card specifically, as well as the Onomatopoeia, were both as a part of the package to get into like the rank 4 plays like Gallon Granite, because this thing is also a rock as well, which is pretty good. But yeah, and then we have the Coat, which allows you to summon itself from your hand if you control a Zubaba or a Gaga monster. Notably, the Onomatopoeia is treated as all 4 of the Onomats. So if like you're missing the pieces, like this kind of bridges them together. So this one just is a free extender. And then also it allows you to go ahead and reborn a Go or Dodo monster. So it can bring back Glove. So Glove can be brought up via its own effect, and also can be brought up via the effect of Coat. This can also bring back the Onomatopoeia, of course, because of what I just mentioned, this being treated as all 4 of those. And of course, it Xyz locks you, but I mean, again, who really cares in this deck? Next up, we have the Onomatopoeia, which allows you to just special summon up to 1 each of the Onomats from your hand in defense position, and it Xyz locks you. So it's like, this is good at, like, these both all work forwards and backwards with each other, which is pretty nice. So like opening any combination of them is very, very good. And they're all also very searchable because you have Onomat Pickup, which allows you to add an Onomat card from your deck to your hand. You can add Onomatopoeia with this, or you can add the Pick or Para, which allows you to send a card from your hand to your graveyard to add up to 2 of the following types of monsters. Basically, 1 of the different Onomats, but you can't add 2 of the same category. This one also has another effect, which is not as relevant, but it can come up to where you can like modulate the levels of your Onomat monsters by targeting one of them. Or you can actually modulate all of your monsters levels to the level of an Onomat monster of your choice. Oh my gosh, I am getting tongue-tied here. But yeah, this card obviously is just more consistency with the Para to go ahead and fetch all of these, and then you can start making your level 4 or rank 4 plays. And again, if you don't open your ZSs, that's how you can kind of bridge the gap into these. If you have like all 3 of these, I'm pretty sure there's a combo where you can go into the full Dragonite line as well as the Abyss Dweller, which is like super, super good. So yeah, like these are just like more ways to really just spam the field and board presence. We also have Astrotopia. This card is another level 4 extender where if you control an Xyz monster, you just special it from your hand. And also, you can send another card from your hand or field to the grave to add an Xyz, Onomat, Zexal, or Number Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand. So this actually also searches your Onomat spells, which is even more consistency. So it's more ways to get into this, which is nice. So if you have to like normal it and like you can send itself or you can send whatever like dead card in your hand, you can just get to these cards, which is pretty nice. So yeah, always nice to have more consistency. That is also an extender. And we have one copy of Astro Kribo. A lot of people know this from the gimmicky Cricket Cook Exodia deck, where this allows you to reveal a number monster in your number Xyz monster in your extra deck to summon it from your hand, as well as modulating its own level equal to the revealed monster's rank. So it also gives, of course, your number monsters or number Xyz monsters battle protection or card effect destruction protection if it is used as material. So just another extender, probably not one that you want to be like seeing multiples of. So I imagine that's why it's a one of here. Then we have Rhoda to search like a lot of the important stuff. Can't search glove, but it can search like your ZSs, which is really important, and then like your coat, your onomatopoeia, astrotopia, stuff like that. And then we have Double or Nothing. This is part of the Utopia double stuff, which you can obviously use to OTK. And I think Mambo also mentioned that like if your opponent tries to negate your like Utopia double effect to go ahead and search for your Ranked Magics or your ZW monsters, it's kind of similar to like Lyrlusk monsters, right? Where like they are giving the Xyz monsters effect. It's not the effect of like the Ascended Sage or the Arm Sage anymore once they use this material for the Utopia Xyz monsters. So essentially, if they like try and like negate this via like an Imperm or a Veiler or something, you can chain the Double or Nothing's own effect, or sorry, Utopia Double's own effect to search your Double or Nothing and then rank up into your Utopia, thereby effectively dodging that hand trap, which is like pretty cool protection. So like has more added niches rather than just being like an OTK mechanism, which is nice. And then we have Numbers Protection, which is a counter trap, and that allows you to go ahead and it is searchable via the Astrotopia, which is notable. This thing allows you to just simply negate if you control a number Xyz monster, any spell trap card or monster effect. And also, if your number Xyz monster you control is a short battle or card effect while it's in your graveyard, you can reset it, but it gets banished when it leaves the field. So this is how you play around like Dark Ruler and drop it and stuff, which is nice. And then we have just defensive cards, 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, 3 Chalice, and a Call by the Grave. And then to round out the extra deck, we already talked about pretty much all of these cards right here, so I'm not going to re-explain them. And then we have Gaga Magician. So this one allows you to actually detach material to bring back an Xyz monster, and it sets up your Utopic Future play into your Draco Future, which is nice. And also a Utopic Future Xyz monster that has this card as material gains the additional effect to where during your main phase, you can detach 2 to go ahead and target Xyz monster control, and until the end of the turn, its attack is changed to 4,000, and you can negate its effects. So it can maybe facilitate OTKs. I mean, it's like probably not going to come up because you're ultimately going to be ranking up into your Utopic Draco Future, which wouldn't get the effect of the Gaga Magician or Gaga Magician. But yeah, if I guess you wanted to like use the effect on the way to the Draco Future, that's an option. So yeah, cool, pretty cool. We already know the Utopic Draco Future from stuff like Leoless Tri-Brigade and like Phantom Knight and stuff. Like pretty solid. Although I'm pretty sure if I remember what Mambo said correctly, it doesn't come up that often. But yeah, and then we have some utility rank 4s here in Dweller and Tornado Dragon. I think he mentioned again he wanted like Baguska in the list. But yeah, and then we have Zeus, obviously. And then side deck is 3 Nibiru, 3 Dark Ruler, 3 Lightning Storm, 3 Evenly, 3 Judgment. I don't really know the side patterns for this deck super well. But yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of stuff for going second, some more protection for going first to like help insulate your board, and then just like more hand traps again. So yeah, that's it for this deck profile. This one is really, really cool. I feel like I have a better understanding of what this deck does, certainly compared to before this tournament started. And I gotta say, like, I like rank 4 strategies a lot. I did, after all, play, like a rank 4 centric Lunalite build for a very long time. And, this deck seems to just be like a better version of like that deck in terms of not really requiring as many bricks. There are some bricks in this deck, but in general, it has like a much better way of like searching outs to like Dark Ruler, and Droplet, and has a lot of consistency tools. Like, it looks pretty darn consistent if you ask me. But yeah, like super cool to see this in action. And again, huge shouts to Mambo. Check out his channel below if you haven't already. So that's going to be it. Thanks, guys, for watching. Please, if you want to help support the channel, check out the affiliate links in the description below, as well as my Patreon. Thank you very much as well to all of my patrons for helping to support the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. And until next time, I will catch you in the next video. See you guys.